And welcome, everyone, to our first 2020-21 Power 36 conversation. We're definitely hoping that you send in some questions here. We kind of sprung this on you. But with the announcement by the Division I Council last week of a start date, November 25th, we thought it was appropriate to produce our first Power 36 of the new season because we know there's going to be a season. We always believed on March Madness, as I've been talking about it throughout the course of the pandemic on our podcast, that there would be an NCAA tournament in 2021 and that ultimately we would get to a season. Obviously, somewhat wishful thinking and guarded optimism. Well, we still need to obviously have this happen, but we believe in it. And so we wanted to make sure that we got our poll out. So I'm going to take some questions here momentarily, but let's address what I put up here first. As you see, I'm going to go from the bottom up, the back part, bottom part of the Power 36. St. Louis, Travis Ford, expect to have his best team with the Billikens since he's entered the A10 second time around. He's at UMass, of course. LSU, I want to see how the pieces all fit together, included them. Northern Iowa, A.J. Green, best player in the Missouri Valley Conference. Now, Bradley's won the tournament the last couple of years, but Northern Iowa was the best regular season team. So I do think Northern Iowa, Bradley, and Loyola Chicago will be the three teams to beat in the Valley. Uconn, now playing in the Big East. James Bouknight certainly will lead them. They got a really good, strong recruiting class under Dan Hurley, and feeling pretty good about their abilities. Purdue, Trevion Williams, Ivy, Morton, Newman, all these newcomers are going to provide a big scoring pop and a little bit more of a playmaker for Matt Painter. Seton Hall, Bryce Aiken, Harvard transfer, Miles Kale, Sandro Mamukalishvili is back. So without Miles Powell, I felt like they certainly had a chance. Providence, Duke, Reeves, Watson, they have the pieces. Jared Bynum, their new point guard. Florida, Scotty Lewis, Keontae Johnson, Trey Mann. There's no question that they have the pieces to be a tournament team. Alabama, led by John Petty. There's no question that Nate Oates has a squad that certainly, with a good recruiting class, could be in the thick of it. North Carolina, Oregon, are two schools that lost a lot, but Oregon had good recruiting class. Transfers, Will Richardson's back. With North Carolina, Garrison Brooks could be one of the best bigs in the country. And then you get in the top 25. Richmond, with their big three of Grant Golden and Gilliard. So they've got a squad that certainly will be in the mix for, I think, to be the top team to beat in the A10. Dayton's going to push them as well. Stanford, I love Oscar da Silva. They did lose Terrell Terry. West Virginia's got a great front court. Houston with Quentin Grimes and Caleb Mills. Florida State, every year they're top 25. There's no question that they're going to be in this mix somewhere. Texas gets Greg Brown, one of the best players in the country in this class. UCLA's got an outstanding team coming back that finished strong in the Pac-12, led by Chris Smith. On here. Questions are popping up. Indiana, I'm a big Indiana fan in terms of what they're coming back with Rob Finney and Al Durham. Trace Jackson Davis is going to be one of the best bigs in the country. Michigan, Isaiah Livers, Franz Wagner. Creighton did lose Tyshawn Alexander, but Marcus Zagorowski could be a potential Big East Player of the Year. Mitch Ballack. Texas Tech, certainly with the transfer of Da Silva. They've got a great shot of with him and Kyler Edwards. We'll see if Mac McClung's eligible. I love the Red Raiders. Arizona State with Christopher and Verge and, of course, Remy Martin. I think they're going to be the team to beat in the Pac-12. Rutgers, Geo Baker, Ron Harper. There's no question. That Rutgers, even if they can't have fans at the rack, I think will be one of the top 5 teams in the Big Ten. Michigan State, we just got to know who the point guard is going to be. Kind of have an idea whether it's Foster Loyer, Rocket Watts, Hoiberg. Outstanding wings. Be quicker, smaller. Duke, great recruiting class. Wendell Moore's back. Tennessee, just talked to UConn's John Fulkerson. They have an outstanding recruiting class as well. Kentucky, Keon Brooks is their main holdover, but an outstanding recruiting class, top one in the country. Kansas, best defender back in Marcus Garrett. Virginia, Sam Hauser's eligible, transfer from Marquette. Jay Huff is back. Kihei Clark, so they've got an experienced point guard. Wisconsin, their whole team back except for Brevin Pritzel. I think Aleem Ford's going to have a banner season. Brad Davison, healthy. Iowa has the player of the year in Luka Garza. Illinois, two of the best returning players in the country, Ayo Dosunmu and Kofi Coburn. Villanova, Colin Gillespie, Jermaine Samuels. They've got a great core coming back. Antoine. So they've got all these pieces, newcomers, that I think will put them at the top of the Big East. Baylor, led by Jared Butler, who's going to be the Big 12 player of the year. And Gonzaga. Gonzaga, even though they lost Phil Petrusev, they got Corey Kispert, Drew Timme, Anton Watson, Joel Ayayi, Jalen Suggs, one of the best players in this class. They were going to be one of the teams to beat last March, April. The same thing's going to happen for them come this season. All right, so let's take some questions. Where is Ohio State? Asked Barry Key. So Ohio State was in my under consideration, but in talking to Chris Holtman, because I originally had them in my preseason Power 36. You know, with Ohio State, we don't know how healthy Seth Towns is. Justice Suing transferred from Cal. So their health right now puts them in question as to whether or not they should be included in this list. That's why I did not at this juncture. But I think they're going to be in the tournament. Okay, Terry, I'm going to hammer you on this one. Gonzaga. You're questioning who they always play. First of all, every year they always have one of the best non-conference schedules. The WCC last year would have had Gonzaga, BYU, St. Mary's, locks. And I think BYU was going to be a Sweet 16 team. St. Mary's easily could have been around a 32, maybe a Sweet 16 as well. So the league is better. And just watch, first of all, where they've been seated over the last 4 years and how they've performed. The Elite Eight, they lost to Florida State. Sweet 16 2 years ago. Lost to Florida State. 3 years ago they lost to Florida State. The year before they lost to Texas Tech in the Elite Eight. But when they lost to Florida State, that was the year that Killian Tilly gets hurt in warm-ups. And then he wasn't able to go out and they lose that game to Florida State. Florida State ends up losing to Michigan right after that. So I got to get, they were right there to potentially make a run right there. The year later, they hit a hot Texas Tech team in the Elite Eight. The year before that, they were in the national championship game. So stop with their seeding issue. It's just ridiculous. Is Miles Powell a first runner? Asked Andre, by the way. I love Miles Powell. Probably not. I love him. I would take him. Watch what we're seeing in the bubble. He's a big-time scorer. I think he could get it done, but he's probably going to go in the second round. Terry, let's see. When was the last time a mid-major won it? You're pointing out UNLV. I wouldn't call them a mid-major based on, their ability to travel, their over financial health of the program. I just don't consider those upper tier Mountain West teams as well as a BYU, Gonzaga. Like those teams aren't mid-major. Bottom of those leagues, yes. But when's the last time? I guess you could argue that not in the last quarter century. Not since I've been going to Final Fours. Let's see here. Tar Heel fans obviously think they're going to win it all, but let's see who replaces Cole Anthony. Who starts in the backcourt for the Illini, asks Aaron Krause. Well, I think it's Trent Frazier and Ayo Dosunmu. End of story. Experienced players who have been incredibly clutch. I love the Illini, as you can tell. I put them forth. Let's see here. Oops. how many teams from the ACC will get in. All right, so let's count these up. We've got Virginia, Duke, North Carolina, no surprise. That's 3. Georgia Tech, I think, is going to get in. I'm high on the Yellow Jackets. That's 4. Ultimately, I think Louisville will. That's 5. And I would say that on the fence, Clemson, 6. NC State, 7. Oh, I'm sorry. Florida State. See, I forget them even when I'm counting. So I would say, so Florida State's in. So I would say we're looking at probably around 8. Probably 8 would be a good number. How good are the Vols? Well, they played really well down the stretch last season. If Johnson and Springer are as good as advertised, then this is a team that could win the SEC, and I have them at number 10. They could definitely be a top 10 team. Who's the best player in the country? Asks Zay Magna. So it's Luka Garza. I think Luka Garza will win Player of the Year if he has anything close to what he had last season in terms of production. So in terms of freshmen, though, you got Cunningham, Christopher. So Cunningham at Oklahoma State, Christopher at Arizona State, and Suggs at Gonzaga. You would think that one of those 3 will be Freshman of the Year. Let's see here. A lot of West Virginia fans. The big question with them is their guard play. If they can be press Virginia, then they legitimately can be a challenger in the Big 12. That's the question with West Virginia. Will anyone opt out before the season starts? Asked Joe. So I'm going to say no, because there's a good chance that we're going to get as close to a full season as possible in terms of scheduled. We'll see if it happens, because there's probably going to be some disruptions. So I'm going to say that the only players I could see opting out are Ivy League players, only because the Ivy League may only play 14 games if they play just league games. So I don't see the rest of Division I opting out at this juncture. So Ryan Sullivan wants to know, why isn't Louisville in my 36? They lost a lot. I have them going to the tournament because we're going to have next week a bracket with seeding. So a little tease there for Louisville fans. But I just want to see more. They lost a lot. Jordan Wara, obviously. Stephen Enoch, Dwayne Sutton. This is a team that I think will get better as the season progresses, but holding back on my prediction. Chris says, watch out for Hauser, a surprise candidate for National Player of the Year. Could be. That'd be great. Let's see here. Why am I slipping Duke from being top 10? They're at 11. A lot of Duke fans think I don't like Duke, which is the furthest thing from the truth. It's so funny because sometimes I'm accused of that, and then a lot of people confuse me with Seth Davis and think that I went to Duke when I didn't go to Duke and think I'm a Duke homer. So I get it from all sides. Look, they got a lot of freshmen, just like Kentucky, and we just got to wait and see. Terrence thinks I'm a hater. Ridiculous. Garrett, can the Missouri Valley get more than one team in? Well, I will tell you, Garrett, the Missouri Valley will have enough talent to get more than one team in with Northern Iowa and Bradley and Loyola Chicago. It's all going to come down to what kind of non-conference games these teams are able to get. Because if they can't get the quality non-conference games, it's going to really hurt their chances of getting multiple bids this particular year. And I'm going to keep quoting John Calipari throughout the course of the year, because he said this to me on one of our interviews a couple weeks ago. He says, look, it's not going to be fair. It's not going to be equitable. And we know that. And this would be a perfect example of what happens with Missouri Valley. God, West Virginia fans, I love you guys. You question everything. 23, not good enough. Samantha Presley, how do I predict Michigan State this season? What's stopping them from being top 10? Well, they lost the best or one of the best point guards in the country in Cassius Winston. So we got to see who plays the point. Tom Izzo told me that they're going to be much more quicker, smaller, not as physical without Xavier Tillman. They get the other Hauser, eligible Joey Hauser. Marcus Bingham's going to obviously have to be a little bit more of a rim protector and force inside. But I love the wings. See if I can rattle them all off. Malik Hall, Rocket Watts, Joshua Langford is back. AJ Haggard, he's a newcomer. Gabe Brown, and Aaron Henry. So they are deep in that 2-3.4 if you want. I mean, not really a physical 4, but the 2 threes, combo ones, and then you add in Foster Lawyer and the younger Hoiberg, Jack Hoiberg. So they've got a lot of pieces to make a deep run and just have a steady presence at the point. Let's see here. Joe asks, if the NBA decides to play in a bubble style again, will this hurt the NCAA's bubble in Florida? Two answers here. One, I don't think there's any way the NBA is playing in a second bubble. No way. I don't think the players would agree to it, the stress of that, and I just don't see them wanting to go through it. The owners also need money, and they want to have the chance of having some fans at some point. So I don't see that. In terms of an NCAA tournament bubble, I don't think it would be in Orlando, actually. I think that they would create a bubble-like environment, possibly in Indianapolis, if need be. I just don't think that we're going to see the Disney property being used in that manner in March or April. It will be used in December for sort of mini bubbles, mini pods, whatever we want to call them, for the non-conference. Terry says that Boston Clark, talking about Kentucky, best 2-3 combo in the nation, both lottery picks. Wouldn't be surprised at all if that is all true. Adam is questioning my sanity by having Duke at 11. Okay. Who is going to be my national champ? Christopher wants to know. So I had, I believe, a Kansas Gonzaga final, maybe. I definitely had Kansas. And remember, Kansas went into the tournament as the number 1 seed, and they were hot at that point. So it might have been a Kansas. I might have gone in that direction. Why do I have Providence ahead of Uconn, asks James. Well, Providence was next to Villanova, the hottest team in the Big East last March. They return everyone but their 2 senior point guards, both of which were not veterans to that position in the program. So the core of their team is back. Well, let me rephrase that. They do lose. There were other seniors, obviously, but that's the most pressing position that they lost that I think is easily replaced in Jared Bynum, a transfer from St. Joe's, and I think that they will be more than capable. Nate Watson, healthy, I think that will obviously do wonders for them to have a big man, big presence inside that I think will be, put Providence in position to be a top 4 Big East team, slightly ahead of Uconn, which is going to be, by the way, a really good rivalry. Christopher Henry, no Syracuse love. Once again, that's a wait and see on the orange. Better not sleep on Arkansas. So I had Arkansas as one of my teams under consideration, so we'll see how that goes. Why is North Carolina so low? Well, yes, they had a top recruiting class, but they finished at the bottom of the ACC with a lot of these same players, and they lost Cole Anthony. So I think you could argue I'm actually being kind to put them in the top 30. Craig asked about St. John's. So wait till you see the bracket. Do I have St. John's in? I am high on the Red Storm. Maryland lost, obviously, with Stick Smith and Anthony Cowan Jr. I think they will be better later. Hard to put them in at this juncture. Isaac has Michigan winning the Big Ten. It's a fair pick. I don't see it because I like the other three ahead of them, and I like Rutgers and Michigan State. But Isaiah Livers will be all Big Ten. All right, let's go to one more. I love how they say I have no love for West Virginia. Teams that could make a surprise run in the Big East, ask Sean Murphy. I think St. John's is one of them. I think Seton Hall is another. Surprise, because I think Providence and Uconn will get the love early with Villanova and Creighton. So Seton Hall and St. John's, I think, would be the two surprises in the Big East. Chris asked about no Petrusa for Gonzaga. I think they can make up for him very easily with Drew Timme and Anton Watson. So I don't think that'll be a problem. All right. I love that Roberts says Florida State should be higher, and they probably will be, but I want to make sure I put them in here. Well, listen, we appreciate all of your engagement here. It's our first Power 36 of the new season. Give you guys something to chew on, debate, digest. We're going to roll out content as we have. You can always listen to our podcast, March Madness 365. Interviewed Ron Harper Jr. from Rutgers, Eve Pons, and John Fulkerson from Tennessee. Dissected this Power 36. Had my Western Conference top 10 college players from the Lakers and the Nuggets. Last week we did the Celtics and the Heat from the Eastern Conference. Next week on the pod, the first bracket. Yes, the bracket. Why not? Got our first bracket, seed list. We'll discuss that all next week on March Madness 365 as we build back up to November 25th. And check my Twitter feed at the Andy Katz as I throw out scheduling things that are happening. What we do know now is all ESPN events are going to be in Orlando in that time period, November 25th to mid-December. The Gazelle Group, which is Legends, Empire, and 2K, I guess is Empire now, and the two Hall of Fame events, that one's in Kansas City, one's in the Mohegan Sun. All those are going to be at the Mohegan Sun. We're not supposed to say Battle for Atlantis. The 7 teams playing in it, not including Duke, are going to play in South Dakota. We've got the Maui Invitational, keeping its name for this year, relocating to Asheville, North Carolina. And we're seeing teams drop out right and left of various commitments for tournaments. Paradise Jam is probably going to be in D.C. And we'll just see how these teams come together to get these tournament schedules ironed out. So plenty of things to look forward to. Stay safe, everyone. Let's hopefully get on the other side of this sooner than later, and we can play this game safely and enjoy college basketball into the late fall, early winter, and into the spring. Thanks for watching, everyone.